It is such an accepted part of our culture, we tend to forget that alcohol is a mood-altering drug.
If only the picture could change, and I could be always what I am now. For that I would give everything.
The paint itself and its rhythm of application suggested by the object's forms gives a quality or a personality to the picture.
Obsession. A word that is typically used to describe someone that's gone way too far into something to the point where it's become a danger to them and to the people around them. Obsession can destroy mental health, ruin relationships and careers, and most importantly, it can ruin lives. One of the most classic examples I've seen of this so far is the picture of Dorian Gray. It was written in 1890 by Oscar Wilde and was later adapted into many different media types, but one specifically being a 1945 film by Albert Lewin. The story is about a man named Dorian Gray who becomes obsessed with his own youth and his own beauty. He ends up getting a self-portrait made and he ends up hanging it inside of his own house. At some point, Dorian wishes that he could pretty much stay young forever and be immortal in a youthful age forever. However, this wish did come at a cost. While Dorian himself will never physically age, the portrait that he got of himself will reflect his aging and his moral depravity throughout his life. And I will say that Dorian does some pretty awful things. So the more and more he indulges in different sins throughout his life, his painting gets more and more grotesque and horrifying. So what Dorian does is he grabs a knife and he stabs the painting. But in a twist, instead of the painting taking all the damage, it actually reflects back onto Dorian himself, and it is enough to actually kill him. It's a very symbolic way of just trying to kill the consequences of your actions. And as Dorian passes away on the floor, the painting itself returns back to its original flawless form. Another great example of this thematic obsession is actually pretty stitched into our modern pop culture, and that is Frankenstein. Mary Shelley's 1818 novel revolves around the story of Victor Frankenstein. Victor is so obsessed with the idea of reincarnation and the bringing back of the dead that it pretty much strips away his entire morality. To create his monster, he gathers the body parts of already deceased people. He eventually assembles all the pieces together and he ends up bringing his creation to life. However, the results were not as expected and this monster pretty much ruins his entire life. Not only his life, but pretty much everyone he's ever loved. Victor being so in his head about creating his magnum opus that it just led to terror, grief, and the destruction of everything around him. So where am I going with this? Why am I seemingly bringing up all this random information? I guess we'll have to see in... Alright, so before we dive into the story, let me just give some context on this game. Layers of Fear was originally released in 2016, followed by a DLC called Inheritance. 3 years later, in 2019, they released a second game called Layers of Fear 2. Then in 2023, the studio decided to bring everything into one single collection. In this new collection, they remastered both games and all the DLCs, as well as adding 2 brand new DLCs. One of the new DLCs will also give a brand new perspective to the game, which was not seen in 2016, so it's pretty cool, and remastering everything means everything is now in Unreal Engine 5. Now, as someone who's never played the original Layers of Fear released back in 2016, I'll have to admit, the way they structured the entire collection is pretty confusing. So here's the breakdown of the collection. There are 4 main narratives: the writer, the painter, the actor, and the director. Alongside all of these are then 2 side stories which relate to the painter's story, which is the wife and the daughter. In this video, I'll mainly just be talking about the painter and the 2 DLCs. Occasionally though, I may reference a different story just to make sense of something else because they are all intertwined in one way. And I'm gonna be completely honest, this story is very messy, but we will get through it. Just to be clear though, this video isn't about if the remake was actually necessary or if the original was better. I'm just approaching this as someone who's new to the series. And I will say the remake or the remaster, if you want to call it either or, nailed one certain aspect that I love about video games: the story. So with that all in mind, sit back, relax, turn off your lights, get ready for the very horrifying story and descent into Layers of Fear.
I know how you must feel. Lost. Alone. Hopeless. You probably deserve it. But even for you, there is still a way. A way to bring it all back. The one precious thing you ever truly desired. Finish it.
We're immediately thrown into it. No context, no introduction. We walk forward and notice we can interact with an object, a dog muzzle. This will actually be a core mechanic throughout our journey, pretty much examining items, reading notes, and piecing together the story through environmental details. It's worth noting that Layers of Fear is actually full of collectibles and there are a lot you can miss. This means that the narrative of the story can actually vary from player to player. If you don't find certain notes or objects, you might miss key pieces of information, making the story feel disjointed, or it just creates a very unique fragmented experience where the player can just interpret the events based on what they've gathered. Moving forward, we enter a Victorian-style living room and we pick up a letter.
We would like to ask you to cease bothering our pest control specialists, as well as refrain from sending us any more of your highly inappropriate letters. All of our employees that visited your house reported absolutely no signs of a rodent infestation of any kind, and as such, decided not to act further than a prophylactic spraying. Please treat this letter as a final warning, or else the next envelope you'll receive will be from our lawyers.
Some call him the new Caravaggio. Others compare him to Van Eyck, and one awestruck critic who wished to remain unnamed went as far as to invoke, quote, the spirit of the great Leonardo. Any way you slice it, the exhibition proved an immense success. Its distinct style has been praised for its unique combination of Renaissance influences and more progressive techniques. The artist himself attended the event in the company of his beautiful fiancée, looking stunning in her black gown, revealed to us exclusively that the couple are indeed expecting.
Okay, so let's review what we've got so far. The painter once opened a gallery, and this gallery was a critical success. He's even being referred to as the spirit of the great Leonardo, which is undeniable. He definitely has some talent. We also learned that the painter has a fiancée, and they are expecting a baby soon.
How the hell did they fuck up the length?
And I noticed we can actually still see our character in the game, and from the clothing, it's still safe to assume that we're in the late 1800s or early 1900s. So that same Victoria era styling.
Figured you'd be up all night, so I made you a little treat. You know, I bet even Rembrandt occasionally took time off from being brilliant and snored his head off like the rest of us common folk. I know. In other words, get some sleep, you big dummy.
With not much context just yet, we continue back into the living room. There we find a dog collar with the name being Papiel or Papiel? Papiel, I'm gonna go with that.
I'm sorry for yesterday. You were right. I overreacted. It's just that this isn't about me. It's about her. Everything I do with her best interest in mind. I guess I've always believed that in an imperfect world, it's worth it to strive for perfection. Now I'm starting to sound like my father. I will work on my temper, though. Promise. We'll talk later.
This is where we learn a little bit more about the painter's personality. He seems to struggle with controlling his temper, and he references how his father had the same type of issue, so probably more than likely a passed down thing. There's just something about the silence down here. It seems very uncanny, but almost primal unease. It's the type of tension where nothing's happening at all, but you definitely feel either something watching you or something's about to happen.
I'm so sick and tired of us talking through these notes. We live in the same house, for God's sake. Come talk to me when you're done, before you go to sleep.
A pretty subtle indicator that they're maybe getting distant or there's something wrong with the relationship. In the next room, we find something pretty fascinating.
Let me ask you one simple question. Have you completely lost your goddamn mind? I know you're going through some rough times right now. I really do. That's why I've agreed to let you do those illustrations in the first place. For old time's sake. I even deliberately gave you a trivial task, because I expected Little Red Riding Hood to be something you can draw in your sleep. What I didn't expect is to get this demented nightmare fuel you submitted for a kid's bedtime story. There is no way in hell I'm using this, and I already regret agreeing to a payment in advance. Please, get your shit together.
A horrifying version of Little Red Riding Hood, which was submitted as a children's bedtime story by the painter. It's clear that the painter has a darker side to his artistic abilities, but it's definitely bleeding through a little bit more than it should. Along with his Red Riding Hood drawings, we find a key that unlocks a previously inaccessible door downstairs. But before we go down there, we head into the child's bedroom.
Why pink?
Those are two simple words that really reveal a lot. He seemingly projects his harsh artistic standards onto others, even when it's his own child. Getting frustrated that a child is coloring a horse pink is not normal. It shows how deeply flawed and judgmental he can be, especially when it comes to art. We also find a drawing from the daughter of the family, but the body language is pretty rough.
Been working all night. Don't wake me up.
We discover a newspaper clipping about the wife, revealing she's as talented in music as her fiance is in painting. Critics are saying that she is destined to become a household name.
The long-awaited opening of the Galactic Department Store turned into hell on Earth when the building's wiring burst into flames. While the majority of the visitors managed to reach the emergency exits in time, several unfortunate attendees were trapped in the back of the building, having no chance to escape the raging inferno. The exact number of casualties has not yet been determined, although it is estimated that at least a dozen people have been severely injured. The owner of the Galactic, Ronald Sheffield, has so far declined to comment on today's tragic events.
Sorry. Couldn't sleep. The leg's been acting up again. Figured I might as well do some work. I love you.
Back downstairs, we use a key to enter a very messy, chaotic room. One that stands out a lot more than the rest of the house. Above the door, painted in large letters, is "Get it right this time." Inside this room, alcohol bottles are everywhere. Sketches are scattered across the floor. There are 6 cabinets lined across the wall, and at the center is a canvas covered by a red cloth. Lost, you deserve it, finish it. Finish it being a reoccurring phrase and one that we will be hearing about a lot.
Two souls, so passionate, so talented, and yet they wanted to build something so ordinary. A home, a wife, a family, peaceful life. Betrayal of everything that made them both artists, and yet they clung to it.
As we open the door and step out of the canvas room, the living room is just gone now. It's not too obvious what is going on yet, but there is definitely something off. Okay, yeah, so we're definitely not imagining things. The house, for some reason, is shifting. The layout, the furniture, even entire rooms. None of it is staying still.
They don't understand what it takes to make a good painting. The work doesn't start with the brush, just like family doesn't start with marriage. It starts with canvas. I can't remember the last time I wore these. The last time I could move freely.
It confirms at some point the painter lost his leg. His physical body may be as broken as his mind continues to be. We grab a key from a painting, and just like that, the room resets. Normal again. These constantly shifting environments aren't just for visual tricks, they're psychological ones, Inception level mind games that will just play on your perception of reality.
Now, a tiny bit to the left. Yes, just like that. Hold that pose. I want to get all those lovely curves just right.
I'm not that round. I think I have the music for all the paintings now. I'm going to play it for you this evening.
We find a letter from someone named Thomas who is clearly a close friend to the painter. He's in disbelief that, in quotes, she would destroy the painter's artwork and says that she needs professional help. I'm going to assume that she refers to the wife. Thomas also mentions that the painter's new works aren't becoming as well received as his older ones. However, we still don't know why she would burn his paintings or what happened between them. We end up coming across more rats and again a chest that requires a combination.
No matter what we did, the fireplace just wasn't enough to warm this room. Don't be scared. It's just a book, Bertie. This is fine. This is good. These are great conditions. I can finish it. I can. I will. I need to. For all our sakes. For our family.
For a family? Or just for you? Go on, tip the scales.
Taking our first steps out the hallway, we come into a choice. This is one of the first major decisions you'll actually have throughout the game. These choices will actually matter and will affect the end of your playthrough depending on which one you pick, obviously. This one specifically being the wife's green eyes or the husband's red paint. We choose the wife.
The most beautiful dream last night. I dreamt he came to me, embraced me, loved me, as he once did. But we both know that while I dreamed my silly little dream, it was you he really lusted for.
I think we should drop the toccata here. People won't be able to concentrate on anything but your music. It's about our family after all, about both of us. I'm sure Thomas would agree with me.
Watch him drown.
The thought alone that the most beautiful piece of art doesn't have my name on it is killing me. So, will you marry me?
Yeah, it was definitely a warning. We're able to get away from the crying woman, and we open a door to reveal the kitchen.
Anyone can paint on a linen canvas. I am not anyone. First, I looked for a canvas. Not just any canvas. I had to find a knife. Not one of those bread ones. It needed to be as sharp as a razor. So I used a razor, in fact, and then carefully flayed the skin. Booze helped keep my hand steady.
Taking apart what the painter just said, he seems to have completely lost touch with reality. He claims that he needed a blank canvas, so he carved off a piece of skin. He also mentions alcohol keeps his hand steady, clearly showing that he is spiraling out of control at some point in his life. We're finally back in what it feels the main room, and I want to take a moment to mention how oddly sized the house feels. Without question, the layout defies logic. It's dreamlike, corridors are folding into each other, but in this more original version of the house, it feels normal and just smaller. But to someone like the painter, who is for some reason just slowly losing his mind, it could feel endless, which is I think what the game is trying to get us by putting us through that. We end up making our way back to the studio, the one with the blank canvas. We immediately notice several of the objects we've collected so far are actually now scattered in the room.
I had the most beautiful dream last night.
Before continuing, I take a moment to explore the upstairs again, just to realize that all the objects I've been collecting and all the notes are spreading across the house. With the painting almost magically taking a little bit of form, we look around and I spot 6 of those locked cabinets from earlier, except one is now open, and inside is that fleshy piece of skin that we found. The lighting in the room has also changed, feeling much more darker now.
Moths drawn to the fire between them. No matter if the flame was desire, despair, or hate.
We check the note besides the canvas, and it's also changed. 8. Even now, loss, you deserve it, finish it. The phrase again, finish it, being prominent. Putting 2 and 2 together, it seems like we're tasked with completing this canvas, and it looks like we'll need 5 more materials to complete it. We try to leave, and just like before, the room no longer leads to the original house.
I can't stand seeing you like this. You're not well. You were sweating and shaking all night, and now there you are locked in your workshop as usual. This whole tortured artist nonsense has got to stop.
We continue exploring and find a chalice cup, which gives us more context about the painter's drinking problem.
It's not like I'm some drunkard. I know how to handle my liquor.
He still seems to be in denial about all of it.
You keep the fire in your office just to stop me, don't you? You hate me that much? Don't push me away.
the fire, because I'm freezing, for God's sake.
Piece by piece, we start to understand that the wife developed a severe fear of fire.
Suddenly, everything I find relaxing is a fire hazard.
I believe that the note we found earlier that describes the department store that caught on fire and harmed many people, that the wife was actually a part of that accident, and that would explain the fear of fire.
Defy death. Defy entropy. Defy the flames. Finish it!
Here are the calculations you asked for. You need to also include the cost of lamps for every room.
I don't care how much it costs. She's afraid of fire. We will have electricity, and that is that.
We eventually make it to a new room, and in this room there is a sort of mirror dimension.
Color. The life of painting. The soul. I need it. I need it to be perfect, striking, vibrant life. Life. Life, 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 fire! Why did you stop? That tune was perfect. Honey, please, just a little longer. At least until I finish painting this one part. Oh, don't make me beg.
I mean, I've seen you in my house so many times, and yet I could never find the courage to face you directly. Not until now.
Lice, mice, bald, bloody spots, hair, not mine. Where are the scissors?
Okay, so let's recap slightly before we go on. We learned a lot about the fire and the wife's fear. We also saw that the husband did install electricity throughout the house because he still loves his wife very much and wants her to be comfortable even if they're still fighting. However, as we heard earlier, the husband grew tired of this because not having fire means the house gets too cold. Or at least that's the reason for it. That's pretty much where all the fighting and the argument stems between them. It even gets to the point where the wife thinks that the husband does it out of spite, and to be real, is probably a legit reason. There were also some other things that I slightly skipped over. It was just some objects that relate to the painter's drinking problems and his ability to still not catch any rats, even though he thinks they're everywhere. We also get some more information on the wife's healing journey. It's taken her about 6 months to even pick up a pen from all the nerve damage. So it could quite possibly take years if she even wants to get to the point where she was. Setting back to where we left off, we actually come across one of the first real differences between the original game and the remake.
I never wanted it to come to that, but here we are. I will protect myself.
This lantern can either be used as a light source or to actually banish echoes, and they will unlock hidden collectibles or open new pathways and secrets.
As of today, I'm resigning from work at this house. I think I don't have to explain reasons. You know how life in this house looks. If I could give you some advice, think about being more understanding and a bit nicer to future servants.
I'm done. I'll do it myself. Keeping the house from breaking apart can't be that hard. Why can't you understand? I'm working in here! I swear if I'm interrupted one more time... I thought it would be harder. It should be harder. Bones shouldn't break so easily.
We come into a room that looks pretty familiar. It's the couple's bedroom from the original version of the house, but this time there's a massive gramophone sitting in the middle. And as the music plays, the room begins to change. It's like the melody is restoring the memory, bringing it back to how it once was. It's a quiet moment, but it's a powerful one. This is what they shared. Music was a good connection for them and possibly a time when they were really happy together.
Honey, what in the world are you doing? What did the doctor say about straining yourself? Leave that thing alone. It's not going anywhere.
Despite everything happening to her, couldn't let go of music, even after the accident. It remained a part of her identity, she just couldn't let it go. Just like the art for the painter.
I needed to remove the flesh from the bone. At first, I was lost as to how, but then I sawed it off with a handsaw, boiled it, then put the bone in a mortar. I had to get one, obviously. This was not something I'd done before. Finally, I mixed the dust with some white paint. It made for a lovely undercoat.
And then the next piece comes into play. He talks about it so casually, like how he had to remove the flesh, clean the bone, and grind it down into pigment. Now back in the studio, the room has changed once again. We notice new items placed around the room, like more notes and two of those rat-like drawings we've seen earlier and picked up. The message beside the canvas has updated once again and says, "Hate, even now, lost, alone, you deserve it. A grave for you, finish it." As we step back, the studio dims again, the color draining from the walls. The next cabinet slicks open, revealing the bone saw and the bone powder stored inside.
Their life started to fall apart. Everything he touched turned to rot.
Good, solid undercoat. A primer that will hold it all together so it doesn't rot.
We creep through what looks like a winery, with bottles scattered everywhere and barrels lining the walls. It all feels very damp and old. And here we meet our first true enemy. After we survive our first encounter, we move forward and find a massive letter. It's from one of the doctors that the painter tried to get to his wife. He explains that the painter has been threatening the entire surgical team who operated on his wife. They tried to save and work with what they could, but it just wasn't enough for the painter. There's a theme with the painter, and he's just so in disbelief that his wife is now disformed, and he believed that he could really fix her with any doctor. But with the technology at the time, there's really not much they could have done. I want to talk about this enemy though, because zooming in on it, it looks like the wife. This enemy is wrapped in bandages, the skin's exposed and raw, and it's still wearing Victorian-like clothing. It's the wife after the accident and a much broken version of who she once was.
She's been at it again. Earlier in the day, I found more of her reviews, little notes stuck to one of my paintings. Some of the most scathing, hateful shit I've ever read about my work. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. After all, she knows me well enough to know what really gets to me. I just can't believe she would use that against me. Worst thing is, when I confronted her about it, she claimed she hadn't written any of them. Like I can't tell her handwriting. Jesus. Does she really hate me that much? Or is her mind starting to slip? I just don't know what to do anymore.
Why won't you talk to me? You promise. You deserve this. All of it. All of it. This solves nothing. It never has. It never will.
Look at him, wading through ashes. Such determination, such blindness. Silent floaters. They clog the drains. Fur in the water. No baths from me.
There's also another voice, but it's neither the painter or the wife we've heard so far. It's something else.
Lice, mice, balls, bloody spots, hair, not mine. Where are the scissors?
It's always the same voice reading these notes too, and they only come up with the rats. Just keep this in mind. Next, we find a pretty disturbing letter. The painter describes his wife's involuntary muscle spasms as freakish grins and her yelps as unnerving. He again demands that the doctors need to fix her. It's a very selfish and sad thing because he cannot accept her pain, but only how it inconveniences him. He sees his wife as a monster now, hyper obsessed with all of his paintings day and night instead of supporting his wife and child. This leaves the wife in complete distraught, and all this leads to the domestic problems that we have been having between the two of them and why everything seems to be falling apart between them. We haven't even talked much about the daughter yet in this story, but with parents like this and the fighting and just the overall environment, it couldn't have been easy at all.
Your fault.
You put more and more locked doors between us, but it's my drinking that ruins the family? The things she could do with the piano. In the right hands, it's the most powerful instrument. It can break any man. In the end, this was the only instrument she could play. The only music this family could accept.
As we come into our next room, we are then thrown into another danger-like environment.
Flapping horror. Be quiet. Constantly flapping, eating other rats.
This time we have to defend off the wife while looking for a code to unlock a door. We get the code, open the door, and quickly jump to safety.
This is who I am. Without it, I'm broken. I have to finish it.
All right, let's try this again. Finally managed to play a little. If banging on the keys awkwardly counts as playing. I won't lie. It drives me insane not to have full control of my fingers. In any case, I was promptly berated by my loving husband, who said I should be resting. I know he means well. But how will I ever get better if I don't work at it?
It's rather sad because imagine having so much talent and the only thing you can hear is a bell over and over and over again. We are suddenly granted with our next material, a vial of blood.
I needed a jar and a plastic tubing. I siphoned gas before. I knew how it was done. I stuck the tube in a vein and sucked on it until blood filled my mouth. Then put the tube in the jar and it just kept coming. A taste of copper haunted me the entire night. Why didn't I think of a syringe?
The painter and how he obtained it is deeply disturbing. It's vile, it's indifferent, and it's horrifying. and the light shifts once again. This time, however, the canvas is a lot more distinct. It looks human, but monstrous.
He tried to pull himself together.
Sweet Jesus! Did you just buy half of the department store? Honey, you don't even know yet if it's gonna be a boy or a girl.
Between the sneaker on the floor, the soft laughter in the background, it's going to be pretty clear that we're about to learn about their only child.
Sometimes you must be in the dark to see.
We activate the lantern, revealing faint arrows that guide us forward. The walls...
Why pink?
The pink horse from earlier makes a return.
Let her be herself.
The wife asks the husband to let her daughter be herself, to stop forcing his vision onto her.
God, I am such an idiot. To think that someone like me could ever compete with you in all your sublime beauty, everlasting, immortal.
In the next note, the wife reflects on the life just before their child was born. She pretty much had everything: a loving husband, a thriving music career, and a baby on the way. She ends the note softly, saying, "I love you so much."
No leaving the workshop until it's finished.
The painter would lock himself in his studio for days, obsessively working and completely cut off from his family. We then walk into a room that resembles a child's tea party setup. We solve a simple puzzle by moving the pieces into place.
You fucking took it from me! My gift! I want it back, you hear me? I will bring you back! Drag if I have to. I will make it right, honey. I promise. I will make you right.
I had to move most of the dolls out of her room. It was getting ridiculous. You can't just throw gifts at her whenever you feel guilty for whatever it is you feel guilty for. She needs a father, not another useless distraction.
We eventually come across a chessboard.
Time for you to choose a side.
You beat me again. Sometimes I wonder why I even bother.
My little bird loved this game.
Showing that the painter did have a soft side with his daughter and did enjoy doing things with her. This may be the only thing that they actually bonded over before everything kind of collapsed.
I need some peace and quiet to work. Is that too much to ask? This house is not a playground. I know she adores that toy, but I don't know. Something about it is very unsettling. Maybe it's the way she plays with it. She's not a happy child. It shows sometimes when she plays. It breaks my heart to see it.
Sorry. course cutting your hair doesn't hurt, Birdie. I need a brush as soft as a child's hair. Where did that come from? That's not a good toy for her.
The toy soldier speaks volumes. The presence of the toy soldier enrages him. We mentioned earlier that the painter has a prosthetic leg, but this time I'm thinking that he has some sort of PTSD, probably from World War I, and that would just make sense within the time frame. We find a child's drawing of the family, and it's unfortunately split down the middle.
I should have let her express herself.
Getting back to where we started, another note appears. The couple had apparently tried to send their daughter somewhere better during the troubles of the relationship, but it just didn't work. Eventually, the painter refused to let her go, even if staying would hurt her. We find a chest, and it contains some pretty huge information. Quote, earlier today, police officers descended upon the residence of a once famous painter and recent widower. Apparently, the man broke into a child's daycare center and took one of the young patients, his daughter, who had previously been removed from his care after a family court ruling. Fearing the man might harm the child, the police stormed the building and apprehended the suspect. The daughter was taken from the house as the man in handcuffs screamed, "Please, she's all that I have left." Okay, let's stop for a second. So this confirms that the painter is a widow at some point as his fiance passes. Likely this is not too far after the fire because their daughter is still a child and was placed in daycare. We also know that he lost custody in family court at one point. The painter is probably at his worst at this point because his wife is gone and we already know that he has nothing left. We even saw a drawing of the daughter standing over a grave earlier and we didn't know at the time, but that was definitely the wife. We are again once trapped in an area with the enemy, but with this time we have to find keys that match to certain doors. Each door will lead to another door and eventually the last door will lead to the exit. The mechanics of the monster are also pretty frightening. She walks slowly and then suddenly charges and there's no hiding from her. She always knows where you are, so you're just constantly running and stunning. The only way to survive is to listen for her giant footsteps as she walks.
Why won't you help me?
Oh, my children, you're both so sweet. I could eat you right up.
Be an example. Finish it!
Coming into the daughter's room, we find a merry-go-round and we interact with it. As it spins, we kind of get a reflection of her world, her perspective on growing up.
This was a special brush, like a horsehair brush, but different. At that point, I hesitated. Will this really work? Fuck it. I was already halfway through, and besides, it's not like I can just put it all back and forget the whole thing.
We wake up to find a strand of hair, and it's heavily implied to be from the daughter. The painter likely cut it off himself, and he's going to use it as a paintbrush. We return to the studio, with it being more decayed than ever. The note next to the canvas now reads, "I hate you, even now, lost, alone, hopeless. You have always been alone. You will always be, hoping a grave error, finish it." The painting takes shape and it's horrific. A skeletal figure stripped of humanity, just flesh and bone. The hair is now stored with the other materials, another step toward completing this piece.
He simply wasn't enough.
I found this note very intriguing, so I actually did a little bit of digging. While I couldn't confirm whether this was a real note to the original game, the symbolism here is pretty dense. The Horn Master is likely referring to the devil, more specifically the darker side of oneself that emerges through intoxication. Then there's the mention of Cubism, the earliest 20th century art movement led by Picasso and Braque. To oversimplify what Cubism actually is, it involves breaking an object into different geometric forms to present multiple viewpoints at once. So think of like Guitar by Picasso in 1913. So how does that fit here? Well, we drink to the fall of reality. As the painter drinks, his mind fractures like a cubist composition. He starts seeing multiple realities, shards of himself, and with every sip, things twist sharper. Then there's the devil retreating to his left eye. Symbolically, the left eye has been associated with subconscious like perception, the darker emotional part of yourself, and I think that's where the painter's evils lie. I've also seen a lot of different things on what the left eye actually means, but this was something that fit a lot more closer to my definition. It's a really small note, but this kind of going into detail gives us a much deeper insight into the fractured mind of the painter. We now begin to search for the fifth item, with the painter's voice becoming a lot more desperate.
It's hopeless. I just can't take it anymore. I might as well try to paint with both of my arms broken.
Art is beauty, writes a painter recognized widely for his talent a few years back. These painters, as they call themselves, either forgot what beauty is or decided to insult it. Waste of paint, waste of talent, waste of time.
Unfortunately, a chair blocks my path and I get caught. And for the first time, I actually fail. So instead of the original, like I said before, of just teleporting or restarting instantly, the game gives us something a little bit different. We awaken in a trashed room with paintings everywhere and everything being distorted. And after stumbling around, we find our way back immediately to the chase zone.
Art is not about watching. It's about feeling. With all senses, every part of your body. It's the only way to understand it. The only way to eliminate doubt.
It is no wonder that an old star rebels against the light of the sun that outshines it. Truth is, paintings have been bland and overly conventional for many years now. They don't evoke feelings. They don't say anything important. They are, at best, pleasant to look at. Art shouldn't be pleasant. It should be world-changing.
Fucking mutt won't shut up! Hey! I can do that too!
See? But can you paint? No? Well, that's all right. Neither can I, apparently.
We are seeing his artistic downfall. He even painted that weird baby face abomination people hated, and the one we've seen multiple times throughout.
They don't understand. They don't see. Tasteless malcontents.
Is that her? Can she hear us? This is all fixable, right? No, you don't understand. Her face, her hands. She will be devastated.
Notice how he almost says, "I'll be devastated," and then corrects, "She will be devastated." Again, another selfish thing just to point out for him that he still is thinking of himself first, even though his wife is in something that I would never wish upon my deepest enemy.
You sure you're safe here?
Deep breaths. Deep breaths. Remember, you're a professional. It's just the first few strokes. Then you're over the hump. What's so hard about it?
We find our next key, which is being held by a black goat, and once we pick it up, it becomes a lot more demonic. Surrounded by 3 cages now, each of them is filled with some sort of symbolism, one being art, addiction, and family. I choose family for each one. This time we see evidence that the painters' partnerships are collapsing.
And so our agreement, although fruitful, must come to an end. We seek someone who understands modern art a little bit better, who is able to engage with it. And you, sir, don't seem to be that person anymore. Your reactions to other reviews and letters from our readers don't encourage further collaboration.
Hate it. Everyone hates it. I have to make it perfect.
I need to start practicing. I don't care what he thinks about it. I'm not myself without music.
Finish it or die trying. Finish it if it kills you. Don't let the doubt get you.
Back in a familiar room, the babyface painting sits in place and a phone rings. As we look for it, I look up and then An actual Inception-like reveal. With the constant raining, we have to climb up the entire room.
You promised. This solves nothing. It never has. It never will.
Until we get to the last one, and of course, we fall. And again.
You deserve this. All of it. All of it.
I needed something to add the, how should I put it, final touches. A finger. I needed a finger. Chopped it off. Easier than sawing a leg. Washed it, dried it in an oven, fell asleep. Almost burned it. Will I manage to pull this off?
And for our reward, we receive a severed finger. The painter has long since crossed any moral line, but this is just insane. The painter doesn't just gather horrifying materials, he rationalizes them. We actually still don't know what body he is getting all these materials from besides his daughter's hair, but we know he's too far gone to care. Strangely, we're back in the normal house, but this time there's some crying. We then start placing items inside a bowl inside the bathroom, which each trigger a different voice line.
A vile, heartless man, locked in a bland, boring prison. You can see yourself out.
We return to the studio and the walls are pretty much rotten and the light is completely gone. The note now reads, I used to hate you. Even now, you must feel lost, alone, hopeless. Finally realize you will always be the quintessential part. There is still a way. Finish it. We start to paint on the canvas and we understand now. We've been trying to recreate the wife, not just a portrait at this point, but a resurrection. What stares back is unfortunately not her.
In the end, what he needed was a sharp focus. He had to finish it.
Finish it. The phrase that's followed us through this entire journey. It was already clear that we've been trying to finish this painting, but we didn't know what it was supposed to be. But now we know it's the wife, and the message feels a lot more tragic and disturbing. Now, let's not forget what the painter's been using to finish it too. Skin, bone, blood, hair, and fingers. And now there's only one piece that remains. It really doesn't take much to realize what's going on. There's really only one person all these pieces could belong to. And that's his dead wife. He used her skin as canvas, her bone to grind into pigment, her blood as primer, the daughter's hair for the brush, and whatever this last item is, it's going to push the horror even further. The transition hallway we usually take is now fully decayed, corroded, and consumed by this black ooze.
In any case, as your lawyer, I advise you to refrain from any imprudent actions. In other words, don't do anything stupid. We still have a chance of winning this. Believe it or not, I've gotten clients out of deeper shit than this. Just don't make it any worse. Lay low for a while and let me appeal the court order. This social worker definitely has it in for you. We can use that to our advantage. Portray you as a victim of the system, a husband in mourning, a momentary lapse of reason, an overzealous bureaucrat. Trust me, this is our best option. Considering what you've been through lately, I'd say we have a good 50-50 chance of a good outcome. But not if you keep trying to convince everyone that you've gone completely insane. No more outbursts, no more rambling. Better yet, no public appearances whatsoever. You can still get your daughter, though.
Home sweet home.
Unfortunately now, the house is being eaten alive by the darkness, and no room has been spared.
Dear utterly despised traitor, come. You turned on me in time of need. We'll worry about it later. Now you have your prize. Watch our demise. One last spectacle by a half-dead couple. A feast for your ears and eyes. Finish. Finish. Find it in yourself and finish it. Just finish it.
We are once again now swarmed in rat imagery.
Right. Just one more can and be ready. Look at you. Who's the dead boy? Who's the dead boy? You are. You mind explaining this to me? I know what it is. Care to tell me how it got in my workshop? Stop lying. We both know it couldn't have gotten there on its own.
These rodents have been here from the beginning, not just as random pests, but as symbols. In fact, we've known since one of the earliest notes in the house that there was supposedly no rats. It was rat-free. And yet, we've been seeing them swarming walls, running by the hundreds, and haunting the studio. We are suddenly greeted by those all too familiar footsteps of danger. So to escape, we banish echoes.
Don't leave me.
If I have to kill to be able to work, I will. I need to finish it.
We arrive in a massive, distorted space. The ceiling mirrors the floor, but up there it's darker, evil, and more corrupted.
You have to see it. It won't be finished until you see it.
To create is to reach into chaos, and chaos is darkness. Warm, soft, swarming. He understood it in the end. Will you?
What music should we choose for the exhibition? A waltz? A march? A requiem? I shouldn't try to contain my art in the workshop. The world is my canvas. The work is never finished. I see the way she looks at me. Are you sure you'll finish this commission, she asks. Doubt in her eyes. Sometimes I just want to.
We stumble into a hallway smeared with paint.
It's you who brought this chaos upon us. This isn't right.
Let go.
To find greatness, to find me, you must embrace chaos.
That voice is still very unclear of who that is, but the painter does respond. It's a big whirlwind of conflict as the voices overlapped, but none of them are stable. The wife then urges the painter to let go, so we drop the painting into the void.
Why don't you answer me? I need something, anything. Some old notes will suffice. I know you're dead, but we both know you're not really gone. Without you, it won't be finished. Hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck one. Horde ran down. Hickory dickory dock.
We come into another hallway with a wheelchair.
Help me.
We look up and see that the hallway is corrupted. It has a sort of light and dark side, but when we touch the wheelchair, it moves to the dark side. So we choose to stay in the light version and we continue forward.
Why won't you help me?
Oh, my children, you're both so sweet. I could eat you right up. You're mine. Vermin growth, cancer of the house. Oh, foul stench. Oh, God, the sounds.
You know, even though you are my rival and the source of all my sorrows, you're also the only one I can still talk to. The only one who will listen. I'm not sure if it's funny or merely pathetic. Probably both.
In a nearby space, we find 4 objects connected to the wife, and we unfortunately find a devastating final letter to her daughter.
My love, I wish I could do what all mothers do and tell you that monsters aren't real. But it wouldn't be true. Life can create things of exquisite beauty, but it can also twist them into hideous beings. Selfish, violent, grotesque, monstrous. It hurts me to say that your father has turned into one such monster. And I'm afraid the disease that afflicted his mind has taken hold of me as well. It sickens me to think what we've put you through. There is no excuse. I only ask of you, though I know I do not have the right to do so, to try and forgive us. I despise what your father has become, but I love and pity him all the same. I only hope you can find it in your heart to feel the same about him, about me. I wish I could see you blossom into a strong, beautiful woman. I wish I could be there for you, but I can't. This is the only way. Goodbye.
Her love is obvious, but her grief is even more so.
Haunting mimics. Knock, knock, knock. Not gonna let them in. Only clothes left behind.
You think I should be happy? Why am I not happy? I have a beautiful daughter. I think she is. I know she is. So why can't I look at her without feeling sick? I used to have a loving husband, wonderful, sensitive. Now, all I see is this strange man who only cares about his paintings, like they matter at all. It's all so pointless. Music used to help, doesn't anymore.
Hey there, princess. What? Oh, this is Daddy's medicine. Whenever Daddy's hurting, this helps the hurt go away. No, don't touch that. Oh, God. I'm so... Wait. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We return to the front entrance of the house, but it's even more corrupted than before. Suddenly, the bathroom is blocked by black ooze, and we are again chased and hunted down. To unlock the bathroom, we have to destroy different echoes that are surrounded in the different rooms that we've already explored in the original house.
What is taking so long? Open this fucking door! I need to go! Open up! Hell is... Oh, God. No. No, 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 what have you done? No!
What follows is one of the most horrifying realizations yet.
I finally figured it out, and it's all thanks to you. You've showed me that there's no other way. Your sad smile confirms what should have been obvious. We will not speak again.
finally, someone had to bear witness. I couldn't just look at my own work. Art and the artist needed an audience, a critical eye on things. I knew what I had to do. I gouged it, scooped it up like ice cream, felt like a butcher, a monster. At least there was to come something beautiful from all this filth.
The painter gouged out his wife's eye from her dead body so that something could bear witness to what he was creating. He needed her to see it, even in death. We finally learn what became of her. The painter then finds his wife's cold, lifeless body in the bathtub and attempts to drown himself many times. The pain, the trauma, the isolation, it was way too much for her. And once again, we are back in the studio, hopefully for the last time, as we now have the final material, the eyeball. But that being said, we try to paint on the canvas again. And just like that, the canvas is ripped away from us. The studio is now in ruins, a reflection of the painter's mind, which is utterly shattered at this point.
It hurts.
You left so quietly, secretly. When I realized it was too late.
Open your eyes.
Do you see me?
I tried to do my best. I tried. I did.
Fix it.
I tried to cope. I tried to be there for you both. How was I supposed to do it without something to calm my nerves?
Broken.
I remember the feeling of seeing it all falling apart, fighting the helplessness, and losing.
Take it back. It doesn't matter.
But we were happy for a while. Couldn't last, but we had it. A short, sweet time together.
I could have done it. We could have been happy.
You can't remember.
It's like a curse. Primal. Angry. Blind. Ever since the accident.
Devoured by forces out of our control.
What will you say about it? How will you end his story?
I used to hate you. I think, even now, I still might. I know how you must feel. Lost, alone, hopeless. You probably deserve it. The one precious thing you ever truly desired. You will never finish it.
Yes! That's it! It's beautiful. Perfect. Just like I always imagined. What is this? I don't understand. No. Stop it. Please. So close. This time, I almost had it.
And here the twist reveals itself. This wasn't the first attempt of the painting. The painting we've worked so hard to complete is just one of many failures, but each one falls short. A loop of obsession. The painter wasn't just trying to honor her, he was trying to resurrect her through art, through madness, through horror. One thing I've been leaving out though, and I've been kind of dodging, is who are we actually playing as? And you probably figured out that we are the painter. I wanted the viewer to gradually put it together without specifically saying that yes, we are the painter, but it was probably pretty obvious from a while ago.
I know how you must feel. Lost, alone, hopeless. You probably deserve it. But even for you, there's still a way. A way to bring it all back. The one precious thing you ever truly desired.
However, even now after everything, he picks up his brush and he starts his cycle again. Because some madness never ends. After everything he's tried, after how far he's gone, it becomes very clear that the painter's trapped in some sort of loop, discarding painting after painting, and each one failing to satisfy him. He's forever destined to create, but he's never allowed to finish his perfect piece. His magnum opus will always be out of reach. But that's not the only possible outcome to the story. There are also 3 alternative endings to the game, each one revealing a different part of the painter's soul. In the selfish ending, the painter completes his perfect piece, but instead of it being his wife, it's a portrait of himself. He looks at the chaos, the destruction of everything that's happened, and he decides it was all worth it. No regrets, just ego and legacy. In the family ending, the painter comes to terms with his actions. He paints a portrait of both his wife and his daughter, finally recognizing what he's lost. And with that understanding, he walks into the room of failed creations from before and he sets the entire house ablaze, choosing to end it all with the one thing he could never create: peace. And we of course got the loop ending, which I actually believe to be the canon version. Why? Because this ending embodies what the story is truly about: obsession, madness, and the endless cycle of artistic torment. He will keep painting her and he will keep failing forever. And with that all being said, that is Layers of Fear. To everyone who stuck around this far and watched this extremely long video, thank you. I know it's a lot, but I just feel like there's so much detail tucked into every shadow of this game that I felt like leaving some things out would just be doing it a disservice. However, you might still have questions about everything that's even happened, and I sure know I did. Even after finishing it myself, I spent many hours researching what I just experienced. Because here's the thing, Layers of Fear isn't supposed to be crystal clear. It's designed to be interpreted, and the story can shift depending on who's playing. So now I'll be diving into my full understanding of the story, and I'll be focusing on parts that I think need the most unpacking. That being the Rat Queen and the Writer story, the full timeline and the complete narrative, the 2 DLCs, which include the musician and the daughter, and references to the picture of Dorian Gray. Alright, so bear with me here because this next section is going to be a lot, but I promise it's worth it. So way back at the start of the video, I gave some background on the game. How Layers of Fear was originally released in 2016 and then got a full-blown remake and narrative expansion in 2023. This newer version combined everything into one cohesive experience and added 2 brand new DLCs. We're going to focus on one of those DLCs right now, and it's called The Rider Story. This DLC adds critical context to this strange lingering presence that we've seen through the painter's journey, the Rat Queen. So who is the Rat Queen? Well, she's not quite physical, or at least not at first. She's more like a magical Lovecraftian style entity, thinking more as like cosmic horror or something ancient, something that we just can't understand. She feeds off the minds of creative people, particularly artists. She seeks out brilliant but damaged individuals, offering them her services. She gives them inspiration, vision, and power to create their magnum opus. But it always comes at a cost, and often that cost is everything. Their sanity, their loved ones, their very identity. Also like to think of the Rat Queen as a sort of symbolic stand-in for like schizophrenia or some other deep mental illness. Because the truth is, she might not be real at all. She may or may not just be a part of the painter's imagination. But whether she is physical or not doesn't really matter because her influence is real.
To create is to reach into chaos, and chaos is darkness. Warm, soft, swarming. He understood it in the end. Will you?
And it's all over the painter's story. From the beginning, I've been highlighting a lot of strange rat imagery. With specific sounds and visual clues, you know that's her. We don't know exactly when the painter encountered the Rat Queen, but I suspect it to be after the fire happened with his wife. This would probably be around the time his mind was being more fractured, more vulnerable. Ever since then, she's been in the background, guiding him, corrupting him. She appears in scribbled drawings, rat infestations, and whispers in the dark.
Oh, my children, you're both so sweet. I could eat you right up.
And here's a crucial detail. The wife was under her influence too. The Rat Queen says it herself, that she fed on both of them, and that's what makes this story so tragically tangled.
How? She asks. The same way I helped the painter, the musician, and the actor.
Now, back to the Writer's DLC. We follow a story of a new protagonist. She's a promising upcoming author working with a publishing agency. She's assigned to write a book based on the painter's story, and she is sent to a lighthouse as a secluded writing retreat. There, we learn that she has a disabled son, and she's struggling both as a parent and a writer. Then, like clockwork, the Rat Queen appears.
Oh, thank God. It's me.
Mama? Did something happen?
I don't know. I don't feel good. I don't like this place.
What do you mean you don't feel good? Do you need a doctor?
No. It's dark in here. I'm scared.
Mom, it's night. I think you just had a bad dream. Everything will be okay in the morning. I imagine the lighthouse gets lonely, but come on. It's you who wanted to go there.
No, you don't understand. It's dark. It's awful, and I can't write. Everything is... Hello? Hello? Fuck.
All you have to do is choose. Your voice will be heard.
It won't. It never is.
She offers her services to the artist and she whispers inspiration, and eventually the writer accepts it.
And now, with my help, it's possible. Do you choose to use it? Say it.
I do. I choose your help.
Then it is done.
She finishes the book and leaves the lighthouse and leaves the Rat Queen behind, or so she thinks. The writer ends up coming back to the lighthouse because something is drawing her back to it. In the intro to the DLC, she says, "It took everything from me but pain and shame." We later realize what everything meant to her, and that was her son. We never learn exactly how the Rat Queen took him, but it's clear that the writer blames this ancient entity, so she tries to destroy it. She attempts to burn the portrait of the Rat Queen, but this only makes things worse. The Rat Queen manifests physically, or at least seems to, and she ends up trapping the writer in the lighthouse forever. And in this moment, we hear her reference other stories. The painter, the actor, the director. These are all characters from the other games and beyond. So the Rat Queen has been behind all of them. One line in particular from the second game captures her terrifying presence. Quote, "There is a world outside of our own, hidden behind a veil of black mists, where ancient beings dwell, immortal, everlasting. They move among us unseen, unless they wish to be, unless they choose you. A mortal to play their cruel charades, a plaything to be toyed with and discarded when they cease to amuse." With a better understanding of who the Rat Queen is, I believe now we can actually piece together the full timeline of Layers of Fear. The painter and the musician, his wife, were a newly engaged couple, both rising stars in their respective crafts. Critics referred to them as being reincarnations of past artists. Together, the painter and the musician opened an art exhibition, showing off their work, and around the same time, they welcomed a new baby girl into the world. It was the peak of their lives, career and family both thriving. While attending a grand opening of a shopping center, a fire broke out. The wife suffered severe burns that destroyed her nerves and disfigured her face and body. Her music career ended pretty much immediately, as the damage left her unable to control her movements. Constant pain and involuntary spasms became her new normal. The husband, desperate, tried to fix her. He reached out to doctors, therapists, and surgeons, but medical technology at the time just offered little hope. He couldn't accept that his wife was no longer perfect in his eyes. He became distant from her and from their child. He locked himself away in his studio, drinking heavily under the excuse that it helped his creativity. But this only worsened things, and he became angrier, more verbally abusive, and more emotionally detached. Around this time, it's likely that the Rat Queen entered the picture. We start seeing rats, and a lot of them. Though the wife insists that there's no infestation, the painter calls in exterminators and lays traps, but there's no signs of rats ever found. The rats only exist for him. This suggests that the queen has been manipulating him mentally, like exploiting his trauma and creative obsession to further push him into madness. Meanwhile, the wife has developed a deep fear of fire, and understandably. For this, the painter replaces all the candles in the house with electric lights, but soon he grows to hate the lamps, claiming that they don't give enough warmth. He begins to destroy all of them, plunging their home into darkness. Eventually, he starts lighting fireplaces again, something that terrifies his wife.
You keep the fire in your office just to stop me, don't you? You hate me that much?
She responds by chaining him in rooms with the fire, hoping to trap him and stop his behavior. His response is pure violent rage. He uses a crowbar to pry himself out of these locked doors. Quote, "You put more and more locked doors between us, but it's my drinking that ruins the family. This is childish." Eventually, the wife can't take it anymore, and she leaves a note for her daughter, climbs into the bathtub, and takes her own life. The painter finds his wife, and in utter grief, he tries to drown himself multiple times, but he just can't bring himself to do it. Now fully broken, his mind slips beyond repair. He scribbles "finish it" all over the house, obsessing over creating the perfect painting, his magnum opus. His daughter is eventually taken by Child Protective Services, who determine that he is no longer fit to care for her. The police apprehend him shortly, finding him on his knees, screaming, "Please, she's all I have left." With his daughter gone for good now, he becomes completely insane, trapped in his cold, decaying house, obsessed with his art. Now, this is where the timeline gets a little tricky. Originally, I believed that the loop began after the wife's death, however, the musician's DLC suggests something different. In the painter's story, in a particular elevator scene, we see the wife running at us while on fire. In the musician's DLC, we see this again, but from her perspective. This implies that she was still alive during the painter's first descent into madness. So the loop may have actually started before she died, with the Rat Queen already working her influence. So under her spell, the painter begins obsessively creating and destroying paintings of his wife. none of them ever satisfy him. He locks up all these failed attempts away in a single room. These are also just normal paintings at first, none of the weird stuff he used yet. However, once the wife dies, that's when I think the version of the loop we play begins. He's the deepest in madness he's ever been, and under the full influence of the Rat Queen, he begins using grotesque materials. Blood, hair, bones, skin, and even a finger to try and finish his perfect piece. And he does get all these parts from his wife's body. He's so far into the madness that he loses track of what he's even doing most of the time. This is evidenced by notes from his friend asking to be reminded of what he's even working on. However, there's one thing I haven't mentioned yet, and that's the secret ending called Letting Go. This secret ending was not available in the original 2016 version, but was added to the 2023 remake. And I can also say that this ending can be considered canon as well. And here's my theory for that. So the Rat Queen traps the painter in some sort of pocket dimension, a reality warped by guilt and grief. There, he's forced to endlessly create this perfect painting for her, a curse that is only broken if he chooses to let go. So in the game, if the player finds all 6 hidden painting pieces during each chapter, it will unlock a key that will unlock a final door in the last chapter. This lets the painter escape the house before the loop restarts. This would match up with other lore too, because in the Inheritance DLC, which is the Daughters DLC, the house is still standing. This would rule out the family ending because the house burns down in that one. No matter which ending you choose to believe, it's intentionally ambiguous, but digging into all the smaller details helps create a clearer picture. And with that, we can finally put the painter's story to rest. However, we'll move on to his family side of the tale.
My very first memory is that of hitting a piano key. My small, chubby finger, the cold, smooth ivory under my skin. And then, exhilaration, pure joy as I heard the immediate response to my action. The sound that appeared just because I pressed that key. I'm not gonna let it go. I won't be imprisoned.
We go through various chapters that reflect her pain, collecting items connected to the trauma and suffering she's endured.
And then, she found a very sharp knife.
Her home now feels like a prison, like she's physically chained to its walls, and in a way, she actually is. Eventually, the wife shatters these metaphorical or literal chains, allowing her to choose her own path. This will lead to 2 different endings, which I'll get into in a second. Throughout her journey, the Rat Queen is very much present, showing up in the same way that she does with the painter, subtle appearances in paintings, notes, and in the shadows. However, the main antagonist is still the scarred, damaged version of the musician herself. For this entity to remain the central threat kinda says a lot. It just shows how the musician sees herself as a monster. So the 2 possible outcomes are acceptance and loneliness, with acceptance being the true ending. In acceptance, the wife, while maybe not fully forgiving her husband, comes to terms with what happened. She accepts that she is no longer the perfect musician or the mother she once was. She hopes her daughter might forgive her one day, and in doing so, she sets herself free from the nightmare in her mind. Loneliness, on the other hand, is far more tragic. She's lost, angry, and emotionally cold.
This is where we pretended to be normal, sane, stable people, where the shackles were the heaviest.
And she takes her final breaths with sadness and fear.
When I was a child, I used to lay in bed late at night, staring at the ceiling, listening to my father scream. Scream at my mother, scream at yet another failed masterpiece. Finally, just scream out into the darkness. It became my lullaby. And even when they took me away, the screams followed. I was once told that insanity runs in my family. It's time to make it stop.
Now let's move on to the daughter. a DLC that I found actually pretty powerful. It gives you the chance to witness the full collapse of the family, but this time through the eyes of the child caught in the middle.
There! I hope you're satisfied with yourself. Stop crying! We'll pick this up tomorrow, and I swear to God, I better start seeing some progress.
Looking back, I don't think my father ever really wanted a child. It's no wonder I was never truly allowed to be one. No, what he wanted, above all things, was a successor. Someone to carry on his legacy. Anything else was just a distraction.
Once full of love and promise, the family has become fractured and bitter, dragging their daughter through a horrifying, surreal version of childhood. The story picks up with an older version of the daughter returning to the house. Like the painter, she explores through old memories through the twisted lens of time and trauma. Through her inner monologue, we learn why she's coming back, to break the cycle, the illness that has been passed down in her bloodline. As she revisits the house, we're flashed back to childhood memories that just reveal how awful her experience was growing up. Also, a massive props to the art direction in this DLC. The way some areas were just presented were very unique and effective. As the story unfolds, we're again presented with branching choices, this time themed around mother or father, or metaphorically, music versus painting. Based on your choices throughout, there are two possible endings, forgiveness and resentment. Resentment was unfortunately the first ending I got. Fueled by years of pain and unresolved anger, the daughter allows the flames of hatred to consume everything, including herself, and the house burns down to the ground with her inside it. In the forgiveness ending, she comes to understand the kind of man her father truly was. She doesn't excuse him, but she lets it go. Taking a painting of her child's self, she sets the house ablaze and leaves it all behind. But just when you think it's over, we're shown a scene where she now has a daughter of her own. Her daughter ends up holding a drawing to her face, and she responds by saying, "Why pink?" echoing the same critique her father once said to her. It's a haunting, tragic, full circle moment, but that's not all as well. There is actually a third ending and again a secret ending. To unlock this ending, it's very specific and kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie. You have to collect very specific items and make very specific choices throughout, and most importantly, you have to find all 9 childhood drawings. Once you've done all that, instead of heading to the final room, you can go to the studio. There, you can place the drawings on a wall and rearrange them. Doing this will reveal a hidden map.
Wait. The lines are... Yes. Now I see it. Like you knew I would. I had to dig deep to uncover what my father really wanted me to find. But in the process, I realized what he was trying to tell me. This house was nothing but a tomb. There was nothing left for me here. No answers, no solace, no closure. My true inheritance lay within. And then, just like that, it finally happened. For the first time in my life, I saw the world through my father's eyes. I was once told that insanity runs in my family.
The ending reveals the daughter's true inheritance, her father's legacy, and now it's her turn to finish it. If you remember from the beginning of the video, Dorian Gray was a man obsessed with himself and his youth and the idea of perfectionism. He made a deal to remain immortal, while a painting of himself bears the cost of this deal. The portrait would reflect all of his age, his sins, and his corruption over time. Eventually, he comes to despise what the painting has become, a grotesque reflection of everything he's done, and in the act of desperation, he tries to destroy it. He stabs the painting, but this ultimately ends up taking his own life. Layers of Fear, and specifically the painter's journey, draws heavy inspiration from the story. You could argue that the two narratives are just alternate versions of each other. Both center around a man driven to obsession by his art. Both involve some kind of deal with some sort of supernatural entity. However, in both cases, their art becomes a living reflection of their inner demons and tragedies. They each seek to achieve their greatest potential, For Dorian, it's eternal youth and beauty, and for the painter, it's his magnum opus, a painting so perfect it defies his legacy. But the cost for all this is steep. Their obsessions consume them, and they both descend into madness. Whether their ends are literal or metaphorical depends on you, or in Layers of Fear, which ending you got. But the parallels are undeniable. Both were gifted, and both were ultimately destroyed by the very thing that they loved most. Living reflection of their inner demons and tragedies. They each seek to achieve their greatest potential. For Dorian, it's eternal youth and beauty, and for the painter, it's his magnum opus, a painting so perfect it defies his legacy. But the cost for all this is steep. Their obsessions consume them, and they both descend into madness. Whether their ends are literal or metaphorical depends on you, or in Layers of Fear, which ending you got. But the parallels are undeniable. Both were gifted, and both were ultimately destroyed by the very thing that they loved most.